Okay, I'm in a 2007 Chrysler PT Cruiser. I have several different systems for this vehicle. First step is we're going to remove the steering column cover. There's a T15 Torx in the back. I'm going to remove that first. 2 Phillips screws in the front of the steering column. We're going to go ahead and we're going to remove those as well. We're going to try to do this without taking the entire vehicle apart, which will make it a little bit easier because of the airbag on the 2007. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to sneak this column plastic out of here. And then we will continue on to the next step. We're going to remove the rest of the dash for easier access. It's too hard to do a video leaving all this stuff intact. Although I could do this vehicle this way and access all the wires, it's going to be hard for you to do it this way. Down behind the driver's knee pad, there are 3 tabs that lock the underdash into the piece underneath. So we're going to need to push down on these barbs to release these tabs before the dash will come out. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to do that. These are the barbs. There's 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're going to reach down through the opening here and we're going to push down on the barbs, the plastic, while we remove the dash. We're going to pull the top clip off and then we're going to push each barb down, and this will allow us to pop the bottom of the underdash out. If we have stuff hanging out, we can slide a plastic tool in the groove to release the bottom tabs between the airbag and the underdash. Now we're going to pull out and remove the underdash. Underneath we have a cover plate. We're going to go ahead and we're going to remove the cover plate, which is held on by T15 Torx screws. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull the 4 screws and take the cover plate off. Okay, with the cover plate off, we're going to be dealing with the main ignition plug and the immobilizer plug for this installation. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to slide the clip out on the main ignition plug. We're going to press the lock clip and pull the main ignition plug. We're also going to, being very careful, push in the lock clip of the immobilizer plug, and we're going to release that as well. I'll try to give you a better picture of that. The immobilizer plug is right there. We're going to go ahead and we're going to push the clip in and we're going to pull out on the plug. The plug will release when the clip is fully pressed. If the plug doesn't release, the clip is not pressed, and do not force it, you will cause damage. This assembly is also a little bit fragile, so you don't want to push on this because you can break the ring. So I'm going to show you the barbs that we had to release. You can see them better here. On the plate that we took off, there are tabs that interlock into the underside of the dash. When we reached through the opening, we were pressing down on these in order to release them and allow this to slide off. On the bottom, when I put the plastic tool underneath, I was creating a gap in between these channels here so that this panel would release from these little tabs without breaking. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. The next product I'm going to show you is our Fortin standalone system for the PT Cruiser or other vehicles on the same platform with a starter wire. Now, if you want the genuine product, you follow the link in the description right to Amazon and you can purchase this already configured by me for your vehicle. If you buy it somewhere else, it's not going to be configured. This interface has a negative out for the parking lights, whereas the iData link does not. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to use the Fortin on this vehicle because of the parking light output. It's going to require a relay in this application, but we're going to add that in a later video. You're going to have 4 connections that are required at the main ignition plug on the Fortin piece, plus we're going to have to plug into the immobilizer. The wires that we're looking for, you have to look, there's 2 purple wires. We don't want the purple with an orange stripe, we want the purple with a brown stripe as our mux. So we've located the mux and we're going to go ahead and we're going to apply a 3M tap to the mux wire. We're also going to work the tap in a little bit to make sure it seats firmly. If this connection is incorrect, the remote starter will not function properly. The next connection we need is on the pink and blue wire. This is actually a starter wire. This vehicle has a starter wire. The next generation of these vehicles does not have a starter wire, and these 2 connections are not required because of that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to tap that. Now, 2 of the connections will be the same, the mux and the starter, and then the Fortin will require 2 more connections. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to plug in our starter wire connection to the wire labeled starter, and then we're going to plug our mux connection into the wire labeled mux. The next 2 connections we're going to need is 12 volts power, and we're going to need an ignition connection. On this vehicle, the power wire is solid red. We're going to go ahead and we're going to tap that, and then we're also going to tap the ignition wire, which is pink with a white stripe. We're going to plug the corresponding connectors into those wires. 12 volt connector, and then we're going to plug in our ignition wire. Next, we're going to go ahead and we're going to plug in the immobilizer. We're going to plug the vehicle's immobilizer harness into the correct plug on the T-harness, and then we're going to plug the T-harness into the vehicle. We're going to support the immobilizer while plugging in the plug so that we do not cause damage. Plugs are going to lock in firmly. We'll have the module ready for programming. We're going to remove all the plugs from the module. Now we're going to be dealing with the 4-pin plug first and the program button on the EVO-all. We're going to hold the program button while plugging in the 4-pin plug. The 3 lights here, the blue light is going to light up. We're going to release the program button as soon as the blue light lights. If we miss the blue light, we can continue to hold the program button. The lights will cycle around to blue again. We've released the program button. We're going to plug in the remaining connectors, starting with the 20-pin, the white plug, and the red plug. At this point, the programming procedure requires that we put the key in the ignition and we turn the ignition to the on position. At this point, the blue light will begin to flash rapidly. We'll shut the key off and remove it, and we will press the lock button to complete programming. That is the close lock button on your factory remote. From this point forward, we can start the engine by locking the doors 3 times with the OEM remote. This will trigger the EVO-all to start the vehicle. The vehicle will run for 15 minutes. We can also turn off the engine by locking the doors 3 times. We're going to add our long-range antenna kit to our EVO-all. The antenna kit consists of a few components. First, 2 long-range remotes, single-button remotes, or 5-button remotes, which depending on the system that you order, an antenna coupler, a long-range antenna with cable, On the cable we have an end with a clip and a single plug. We're going to plug that in to the long-range antenna. We have an end of the cable with two ends. We're going to locate the end with a clip and we're going to plug that into our coupler. Now we're going to locate the data cable zipped up to our harness, and we're going to plug the other end of our coupler into our data cable coming out of the EVO-all. We're going to make sure that everything locks in. At this point, we're ready to begin programming the long-range antenna. The first step is to remove the 4-pin plug from the EVO. We're going to hold the program button down while plugging in the 4-pin plug. We're going to let the light cycle until the blue and the red LED are lit. At this point, we're going to let up on the program button. We're now going to press and hold the program button down. The blue and the red LED are going to go out and then they're going to come back on. We're going to keep the button down the whole time until this happens. Okay, we've released the button when the lights came back on. We're ready to introduce our long-range remotes. We'll start by placing the key in the ignition and turning the ignition to the run position. You want to make sure you turn it all the way to run without starting the vehicle. The yellow light on the EVO will come on when you have the key in the run position. Now we'll press the button on the single button remote until the blue and the red LED blink. We're going to repeat the procedure with our second remote. The EVO will learn up to 4 remotes. We'll then shut the key off and remove it. Programming of our long-range antenna is complete. We can activate the remote starter by pressing the long-range button on the remote. This will trigger remote starting of the vehicle. We can shut the engine off by pressing the button again. Okay, with our system we can start the vehicle 2 ways. We can use the OEM remote and lock the doors 3 times. This will trigger remote starting of the vehicle. Now we can shut the vehicle off. And we can start the vehicle with our single button remote also. If you purchase the system with the 5-button remote, you'll be able to lock the doors, unlock the doors, and start the vehicle all from the 5-button remote. And we can turn the vehicle off from the 5-button remote. Okay, we're under the dash in our PT Cruiser and we're locating the parking light wire. Above the OBD2 plug, there's a black plug, and our parking light wire is white with purple. We're going to just go ahead and put a test light on it to verify that this is the correct wire. When probing with the parking lights on, the test light will come on. We've also found a constant power source for our parking lights as well, right here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to use our fused relay assembly. We're going to plug it in and we're going to have parking light control. Okay, we're going to plug into our constant power source. And then we're going to plug into our parking light activation wire. And then we're going to connect to our EVO-all on our brown with a white stripe. I'm going to leave enough wire so that we can mount these components. We're going to insulate the connection. And from here on out, we'll have parking light control. We have a fuse on our relay socket to protect our parking lights in case there's a short circuit. We've also gone ahead and we've routed our wiring to get the vehicle ready for reassembly. You want to make sure you don't route anything over this screw hole here because this is the column screw, the Torx T15 in the back. And we've routed our harness down along here, and we're ready to go ahead and mount the components and reassemble this vehicle. Okay, we've programmed 2 single button remotes and a 5-button remote to our system, and we also retained the ability to start the vehicle from the OEM remote. I'm going to go ahead and start it with the OEM remote. We've connected the parking lights now, so when the vehicle is running, we're going to have a visual indication that the vehicle is running. The parking lights will stay on the entire runtime, which is 15 minutes. We're going to go ahead and we're going to shut the vehicle off using our single button. And we're going to restart it with the single button remote. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to shut it off with our 5 button. And we're going to show you the locking and unlocking. If you pair it with a 5-button RF kit, we'll have lock control of the vehicle, and we'll also be able to start the vehicle. Now we have parking light control, so the parking lights are going to stay on throughout the runtime.